Well, now, the next subject I've got to talk to you about is not a happy one. I've been asked to say a word or two about social brutality, about, the issue is that the Arab world is very upset because, for why, or at least the Arab world I'm familiar with, my friends are very upset. For why? Because there's been this little video that's been circulating of a Palestinian in Saudi Arabia brutally manhandling his young daughter, his infant daughter, ruthlessly manhandling his infant daughter to make her walk, allegedly. And the video is horrid, so, we don't need to see it. But I was asked to address this issue of brutality, this issue of the awfulness, the inhumanity of people sometimes towards the vulnerable. Who are the vulnerable in our society? The vulnerable are the very young and the very old. They're the ones we have a duty of care towards. And my goodness, this video just brought it home. And it's gone viral in the Middle East. And the gentleman concerned has been arrested in Saudi Arabia. Thank God he has. And his children taken into care. Thank the Lord. But the point is that this is a phenomena everywhere. I mean, my own country, Britain, my own part of Britain. I come from the southwest of Britain. Even in the southwest, violent crime is up 10% this year on last year. We're talking about all violent crime. We're talking about rape. We're talking about abuse, the beating up of men beating up women, men beating up men. In the gay community, there's a lot of brutality, man-on-man brutality, cruelty, and abuse. The family abuse is worse in rural areas in the United Kingdom. And knife crime has gone ballistic. I mean, and we can talk about solutions to this kind of thing. And there are solutions. I believe that we should have zero tolerance policing, where we are quite ruthless about areas where there's increased violence. And there have been, at the same time, there should be more restorative justice, more use of the kind of policing where you hand out community service to youngsters that are engaged in violence, rather than give them a criminal record, that you do it at street level. Some very good work has been done on this in Bahrain, in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And I know not all of you approve of what's going on in the Kingdom of Bahrain at other levels, but in terms of social justice, there has been some good work. There's been good work in the Netherlands, in Holland, in Europe. The prisons in Holland are empty because they're delivering social justice for violent crime, and the consequence is that they're renting their jail space to Belgium and other nations nearby that have a violent crime problem and are not dealing with it. Violent crime is up throughout Europe, throughout the Middle East, everywhere. Brutality. Why? What's the root cause of this switch in our society? Because it wasn't always thus, was it? Of course, yes, there's war and cruelty of that kind, and it goes on and it goes on, and the inhuman abuse in war is unbelievable. The dehumanizing of the other. I remember Oh, I could have wept. I remember when I went into Benghazi in the middle of the civil war in Libya, with the uprising, whatever you call it. And I remember the young Shabab showing me a video on his mobile phone of which he was proud. And what did it show, this video? It showed a group of shivering prisoners that were allegedly mercenaries fighting for Gaddafi. These people were in the back of an open-topped Land Rover, and they were quaking in fear, and they were just gunned down, machine gunned to death. And the boy was showing me this video with pride. Oh, I could have wept. I did weep. The tears. Oh, for goodness sake. I mean, where are we in society? There is so much brutality in war. But there's now brutality in places in peacetime everywhere. What is going on? Why this cruelty? I mean, we talk about child abuse, but it's more than this. It's just ruthlessness. What has gone wrong with society? Lack of morality, lack of religions, more extremism. What is it? Well, I believe that there is an underlying cause for much of this. I mean, the trouble is men. Men are very often driven by testosterone. They have a problem. It's a biological issue. And fine when things are ordered, when life is ordered, as it used to be. Okay, people, when I was a boy, people were not prosperous, but life was ordered. There was not chaos. People, for instance, had jobs that lasted them a lifetime. People were not worried about whether, you didn't have things like 0 hours contracts. People were not worried about whether their contract would be renewed, whether their jobs would be there year in, year out. Men had ordered lives. They're not perfect. Their lives may not have been what they aspired them to be, but they were ordered. And now we have chaos. I've said this before, but a Syrian once told me, an old Syrian warlord, said to me, Syria, my Syria, he said, look, war and peace we can cope with. We can cope with war and peace. What we can't cope with is chaos. What we have in Syria is chaos. Chaos is evil. Well, sure is. And what's happening socially in societies across the world? Gun crime in America, mass shootings and so on. People always had guns in America. What's gone wrong? People's lives are so unpredictable now. People do not have job security. People do not know where they are. People are bewildered. And it's like caging a tiger when you bewilder a man and he has no security. He doesn't know whether he's going to have money for his family. He doesn't know what he's doing. You leave them in a situation where they react with rage, and that rage is not directed. It's genuinely not directed at the vulnerable, but the vulnerable are there. Take it out on your wife. Take it out on your child. Take it out on the boy in the street you don't like the look of. It's a release, unfortunately, in our broken society, our disordered, chaotic society. We need a little more stability in this world of ours. Now, how you bring that about? Better governance? That's really part of it. We're poorly governed. We are not well governed in the world today. There are a few visionary leaders. I mean, who can I look up to and admire? I tell you, I admire the German president. She's admirable, but a woman of principle, a woman to be respected. But social problems are everywhere, even in Germany, where they have that fine leader. So I don't know if that's the problem. It's right down to all of us. It begins with you and me. We have to try and build a society of care for the other. Really is so important. And we must blame ourselves for all this sadness in the world, because it's not right. It's not what God has in mind for us, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves. We have to build a better tomorrow for the sake of our children. You do not inherit the earth, you borrow it from your children. And we have a duty of care. We have a duty of care. And we must care for the vulnerable. All of us, the very young, the very old. It's our responsibility. And we have to take it far more seriously than we do. Our streets should be safe places to walk, and our homes should be safe places for our children. And things must change, and God willing, they will. Let's hope and pray for a better tomorrow. Okay. Another word about something else in a moment.